artists, this week was extremely great for us because of also Ukrainian artists' participation. If you haven't heard, if you haven't seen some of my latest videos, I were able to reach out to the Cardinal Birds. It's a punk rock band from Kiev. They made a great song for the NATO in general that are participating in their information war against Russian disinformation. And these guys, they agreed to help and deliver like how do you say, like an anthem for the channel, which would be really, really cool. I think everyone would like that, and maybe I can finally play music on my channel that will not get it copyright banned. In any case, welcome to today's stream. Welcome to this evening. I will put up a Q&A mark just right in a short while. I want to start right away by saying huge thanks to the moderating team, because as everyone here knows, and I hope we share that knowledge, that we are able to communicate to each other very clearly. I'm able to read, you're able to read everything without spam or Russian propaganda, and that's all thanks to the moderating team. I am very proud that my channel and comment section under videos in general is one of the cleanest on the platform, that any platform that is to do with the war in Ukraine, with the Russian invasion into Ukraine. So for that, huge thanks. Please post a hand clap for the moderating team and say thank you to everyone. Today is a very special day. We have many occasions for us to kind of celebrate, but before I start doing that, I should start the Q&A, just so any questions here. I will start Q&A just so you post questions somewhere. But today is a very special day. As it turns out, there's actually multiple things to be on note of. First thing is that today is the day when Ukraine were able to enter city of Kherson after longer offensive from Ukrainian armed forces, that at some points were felt that this offensive will not lead anywhere, that Ukrainians will not be able to squeeze out Russians from the right bank of Kherson. It ended up with a complete victory of Ukrainians and Russians withdrawing and running from the right bank of Kherson. With that, it also marked the liberation of Kherson. Kherson is obviously notable because it's the only regional center city that Russians were able to capture in their original offensive and generally large-scale invasion in 2022. With that being Kherson, and I'm very happy to hear that we are now seeing Kherson free, and I'm hoping for the other parts of the Kherson region to be free as well. Beyond that, in US today, as if I'm read correctly, today is the Veterans Day in US, so I would like to extend my, I don't know what you need to say, like, it's not really congratulations, is it? So please, everyone in the chat, tell me what I should say to the veterans on the Veterans Day. I don't know, thank you for your service, I guess, or something like this. But please, if you know a veteran in US, reach out and, I don't know, and do what people in chat will do, because I don't know the proper formalities around this day. Beyond that, as far as I'm aware, today is also Poland's Independence Day, but let me double check it. I should have probably checked it before. Yes, it is today. So today we also congratulate Poland with the Polish independence, which is really nice. And I'm really, really happy that Poland is the country that is free. And especially with the latest election results, you know, I'm a big fan of the results. I'm a big fan of democratic and pro-European Poland. And I am thinking that this is going to be a big driver for good in Europe, making Eastern European powers rival that of the Western powers, especially with the Poland being in a forefront of that change. So huge grats to Poland, huge congratulations. And one small thing that I need to say for a country that no one cares about, but I do. for Latvia, because in Latvia today is a Bear Slayers Day, so-called. We celebrate the day of the bear slayer in Latvia, and this is essentially a day of the Latvian, not independence, but like a military resistance, when we celebrate all of the military accomplishments of the Latvian history. There weren't a lot when we look at the grand scale of things, but there are some that matters for our country and what our country did. So I'm very happy that this day is now being celebrated in Latvia, in free, independent, democratic Latvia, and I hope both Latvia, Ukraine, Poland will stay free, democratic, and great. Let's begin. Yes, it's the day of the bear slayer. The national hero of Latvia, he's like a mythical hero. Latvia has one, I don't know how it's called, epos? Is it called epos? Yeah, epos, no wait, epos is in Danish and Latvian. Epic poem, so an epic. So Latvia has like an epic, a huge novel or poem about this hero of Latvian people, the bear slayer, a person that was born with the ears of a bear. It's a wild tale. Like you can try googling it. It's fascinating if you're into that kind of things. But let's just say Latvia did the furies before it became popular. There we go. Yes. Yes. All right. I'm going to answer this question right away from the ENTP. There is no tension between Zaluzhny and Zelensky. I specifically dug. I hope I pronounced it correctly. I specifically were digging a lot into this topic. There is no basis for it. There are literally zero basis for this topic. Not a single source, not a single credible shred of information, or at least anything that can confirm it. There is zero. The only kind of basis for that write-up that I heard about, that there is some kind of conflict between Zaluzhny and Zelensky, is from the media sources that read Zaluzhny's essay with their asses instead of their eyes, and listened to Zelensky's speech with their asses instead of their ears. Because what Zelensky was saying in his speech recently, the media took from it and saying, oh, Zelensky says there is no stalemate, Ukraine has still ways to go. Whereas Zaluzhny, what I read, Zaluzhny says there is a stalemate. If you take those shitty-ass headlines that people that have not read the source material or listened to the president speak, then you say, oh, wow, conflict between Zelensky and Zaluzhny, holy shit, they are in disagreement where Ukraine is. However, when you actually listen and read, then you note that what Zelensky is talking about, he's saying, we are right now in a difficult situation in our country. We require a lot of Western help. We require support. But I don't believe that we are right now in a position where there is no way forward, that there is a complete stalemate. That is what Zelensky said. When you read Zaluzhny article, watch my video, the 35-minute video where I take it part by part. When you read Zaluzhny's article, you see Zaluzhny saying, like a proper analyst, like a proper military guy. He says, right now, battlefield is very complicated because a new technology, a new way of fighting, a new type of warfare is engaged between Russia and Ukraine. And he's stating, these are the problems that I see with our earlier approach to this warfare, and this is why neither side can achieve results. And then he says in the second part of this, this is what we need to do in order for us to break out of this locked position where neither party can move from the positional warfare into the maneuver state. So when you actually compare these two, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, they're actually talking about the same things. They actually completely agree on everything. So the only disagreement between Zaluzhny or tension is in the heads of journalists that cannot take their time to study the source, and they just are running away with clicks. And then there are secondaries that are just picking this up. Oh, hot topic. Zaluzhny, Zelensky disagree. There is nothing there. Completely nothing. Yes. Okay. It's good that at least my audience is up to the point. I think I'm really glad that at least with you guys, you will be able to keep it up and maybe spread it a little bit more. Alexis wants you Alexis wants to know where you got your short. Hi G. Hi Ali. My short is from Aviaция Галичины. I'm gonna drop a link. It's from Ukraine. It's a shop from Ukraine. They are doing pretty cool stuffs, and I think they do deliveries worldwide, but it might be problematic. I've posted the link to the chat for the shirt if you want to get yourself a shirt or something. And Alexis, I'm also wrote you that. Okay. Alethea, I'm sorry for mispronouncing the name. Former NATO Secretary General Rasmussen put forward a proposal for Ukraine to join NATO, but stripped of territories occupied by Russia. He denies this would freeze the conflict. Your thoughts, G? Firstly, I thought NATO should have accepted Ukraine ages ago. I don't think it's a workable plan. I know what he's proposing, but how would that work? Like, the problem is, would we accept at the borders that Ukraine has on the day of proposal? Or if, for example, Russia takes over some additional territories, is it now territory that belongs to Russia? What about if Ukraine liberates certain territories beyond that? Do they now are technically in NATO? You see, there is a lot of issue. If they would say we allow Ukraine to join, but for now we don't allow Ukraine Article 5 to be triggered. Good choice. I think that's a proper way forward. I think once we start setting some kind of line in Ukraine, it might work if we, for example, take regional borders, but that's not what I've heard right now. I think maybe regional borders can be considered until the war ends, but with as he states, what Russia right now controls stays with Ukraine, with outside of NATO. That I don't get. That is a little bit of a silly thing. I think it's a good approach. I think NATO should invite Ukraine, but Ukraine will not join NATO. There is Hungary that's going to block it. I'm pretty sure Turkey will block it. There are plenty of other countries. Austria will definitely block it, I'm pretty sure. So there are plenty of countries that will block Ukrainian accession to NATO. It's an interesting plan in theory, but it's not a solid plan enough that there is a solid ground support. So it's more of a thought exercise, if you say. So as much as I respect Anders Fogh Rasmussen, but it's a little bit of a fantasy drive. Pseudo, are the Russians still planning something heavy in Kupiansk axis? No, not really. They've been pulling troops from Kupiansk. Ukraine has been also pulling certain troops. So right now Russians are active. Ukrainians are not very active along the front lines. They are mostly moved to the strategic defense. I think what I feel like what's happened, like, and this is kind of real talk. What I feel like is that Zaluzhny, he looked at the map, he looked at the situation on the front lines, and he says, because of how I see situation, there is very little for us to be on the offensive. Because when we are on the offensive, we lose more manpower. So unless we need to deblocate certain forces, unless the situation becomes critical for some forces, and then we need to kind of, retake back or make sure the situation is more stable, we should mostly focus on defenses. Again, not an expert. This is just complete my guessing game. But this is how it feels like. And what I think is happening is Zaluzhny saying, let's preserve our forces as much as we can. Let's wait until we grow our capabilities. Let's wait until we get the F-16s and everything, because right now, even if Russia does offensive, by looking at what happened in Avdiivka, I feel that he is a little bit more confident that they can hold whatever offensive Russia is going to be doing. So in that sense, he says, let's preserve our resources, manpower. We're going to give away the initiative for Russians if they want to attack. But from what I've seen in Avdiivka, and I'm trying to be in Zaluzny's shoes, sorry, like that's not for it, but you get me. From what I've seen in Avdiivka, we can stop any kind of Russian massive pushes. At least that is how it sees for how I see it for now. Beyond that, we see that something is happening in Kherson, but again, this is not to scale right now. I think Zaluzny is kind of like, okay, if opportunity presents itself, we might take that opportunity. It's like, but we're not gonna go all in right away. We're not gonna go like heads first into the water. We're just gonna go up. We added like 1 battalion of forces to Kherson left bank. Oh, we secured additional land. Let's maybe add some armor in there. Oh, we added armor. They started expanding. Okay, good. So for now, we have the ability to add more forces with little to no drawbacks from it. And this is how I feel the current situation looks like. You're free to challenge me on that, because I am, again, guessing. I haven't heard any expert talking about this. What I do know is that Ukraine has resources, but Ukraine is not utilizing these resources to attack anywhere. And there is a reason for that, because Zaluzny said that he doesn't see reason to attack. How do you expect the Dnipro operation to evolve? What can we expect over time? I made a whole video about the 7 steps to victory, and I talked there in depth about what are the challenges that Ukraine is facing, and solving those challenges will be how the situation will evolve. Doug, does Ukraine apply well-known martial arts self-defense principle when they yield to an overwhelming amount of hobo forces? Sometimes you have to absorb the power of your opponent and then strike back. Yes, those swings, the balances, that's what has been going on so far. But I answered this question right before. Do you know the official can? Do you know if the official air defense in Crimea has been degraded with the recent attacks? Air defense has been degraded, but Russia has more air defense. The number of air defense assets that Ukraine has been degrading is limited. Ukraine needs to do more campaign, because Russia has felt comfortable of Ukraine not striking as many assets on the Russian territory. So certain elements of the air defense have been moved from the Russia proper into Crimea. So now the rumors are Ukraine is preparing a new wave of attacking drones that will strike Russia proper. If Russia proper wants to prevent that, they will need to move the air defenses around. Russia has enormous amounts of air defense units, but Russia is also huge. And Ukraine can try to spread Russia thin as much as they can. And at that moment, we might see more operations, including in Crimea. Ambassador, does Ukraine have amphibious assault bots? Could hovercrafts be used to cross the Dnipro? Anything can be used to cross Dnipro. Ukraine has amphibious assault forces. They're using both dedicated amphibious vehicles, and they're using also the armored vehicles from the Soviet times that are having the amphibious capabilities. Ed De Bruyne, how many VDV troops does Russia have? It's a complicated number to guess right now, because those units that were primarily VDV have been reconstituted multiple times, including sometimes from the mobilized people that's just signed the contract. Certain VDV units have been created anew, but they haven't gotten the proper VDV training. So it's a answer without a concrete. It's a question without a concrete answer. I can tell roughly that Russia has like maybe, I don't know, what is it like? I cannot say for sure. No, I'll pass this. But it's a difficult question. I don't want to say out of my ass to then just be corrected. I don't know. ENTP, any update on the pilots down in Arizona? Were there some pilots downed in Arizona? Did I miss something? Did someone fall, or what happened in Arizona? Did something happen? I haven't heard the news. Kaimo, will US leave NATO if Trump becomes president? I don't know. Ask the political expert. I seriously, I have no idea. I don't know. I don't want to comment on what's gonna US do. It's like looking in a crystal ball. I'm trying to get educated guesses here, but this is like Trump is literally, I don't know. It's not gonna be good. Let's put it this way. Last time Trump was president, pretty much every single ally of US outside of US hated US president's guts. So I don't think Trump coming back is going to win some points for US. Let's put it this way. Mafpa, what should tell friends who are more occupied with the Israel war instead of Ukraine? I feel like people have become tired of Ukraine war without understanding the sheer size of this war. Yes, yes, Mafpa. How to say? Um, there I talked many times that there are reasons why people want to switch. Ukraine war is difficult. It's a big war. It's a difficult war. It's a long war. And all in all, in the end, it's going to be a core small people that care. Majority of audience, as I said, the fact that they were able to keep the eye on the ball for 1 year and a half, and media especially, it's incredible. That's incredible. That was the time for Ukraine to shine. That was the time when Ukraine needed all of the goodwill to make sure it gets all of the agreements that it needs. I believe the strong basis for agreements have been built, but now Ukraine is transitioning to a new reality. I think it's more healthy for Ukraine to not be the number one topic. Again, my opinion. Free feel you're completely entitled to your opinion. It's completely fine. But I feel that, especially in US, Ukraine has become a very toxic topic. And I think the fact that Ukraine is getting out of the media space is actually a little bit more healthy for the global support for Ukraine. Because we see politicians and people that matter generally now have switched to a proper understanding, both with the public pressure and with the general understanding of the war. I think that Ukraine will get the resources that were promised to it. And I'm hoping that more and more business style, money based cooperation will start happening between the Western powers and Ukraine. I always thought that it's great that Ukraine ignited this political will, but this political will wane. Always. That was always the case. Like we always knew that it's gonna go away. No one is gonna stay like this forever, especially after Ukraine survived. What we need to understand, this is like a, how do you say, modern generation trick. As soon as there's potential for Ukraine to move into the maneuver phase of the offensive, for example, Ukraine starts liberating certain land in a Kherson, you will see the switch back. In generally, Israel-Hamas conflict is very insignificant for the world order. Very insignificant. The danger, the tension that was in Israel before this conflict was that there was a little bit of a problem that Lebanon and Iran can enter the conflict on the Palestinian side, but we saw that they backed down and basically left Hamas to their own things. So Israel is pretty much now free to finish their operation in Gaza. I know that certain analysts have been saying that that Israel might struggle with clearing out the Gaza city, but I feel that they will be able to finish their operation nonetheless, and they will be able to close out the chapter, even if there is still Hamas or certain resistant forces or something like this. And I feel at some point this conflict will end, and relatively fast time, especially now that we know that Lebanon and Iran decided not to go. As for Ukraine, as I said, I'm looking forward for actual deliveries of the weapons from more of a business style relationships rather than being on a headlines, because I don't think it's a healthy position to be in, because you once you're public, you're always scrutinized for everything. Walter, welcome to the Brother in Arms. OCT, thank you so much for 10 gifted memberships. Jakub P, thank you so much for 20 gifted membership. Key Hansen, thank you so much for 50 gifted memberships. Wow, you one up every single one. Raktak, welcome to Brother in Arms. Sean B, welcome to the Brother in Arms. Welcome. We're having a nice, small, and cozy stream today. Said myself, with 780 people watching this, which is an incredible amount, to be honest. All right, let's go further. What should, do you think Russia anti-infrastructure winter campaign has now fully begun? No, not yet. Not yet, David. No, not yet. Karen H, have you already covered the news coming out about Roman Chernivsky? No. Okay, I need to Google. This is something I missed, apparently. My blind spot. Roman Chernivsky. Ukrainian military officer coordinate Nord Stream pipeline attack. Roman Chernivsky, a colonel in Ukrainian special operations, was integral in the brazen sabotage operation, says people familiar with planning. Okay. Yeah, let me switch the camera so you know what I'm going through. Firstly, Washington Post, huge doubts, like press D to doubt. So huge doubts on the Washington Post right away there, because they've been. Let's see what they say about their. I'm interested when I'm reading Washington Post or any kind of Western media. I'm interested in sources and actual facts, because everything the rest we see that any good facts can be twisted. Let's see. The officer roles provide the most direct evidence to date. Military security, yes. Coordinator. 3 explosions, yes. Chernivsky did not act alone. He did not plan the operations, which has not been previously reported. Okay, so did not act alone. He did not plan. The officer took orders from more senior Ukrainian officials, who ultimately reported to General Valery Zaluzhny. Okay, they spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss sensitive details about the bombing, which has strained diplomatic relations with Ukraine and drawn. Wait, what? Who spoke? General Zaluzhny spoke? Or a more senior Ukrainian officials? Is that the source? Again, we're going into anonymous sources again. Yes. Chernivsky denied any role sabotage, so he says no. Post in Der Spiegel, which conducted joint investigation in this role. Spokesperson for Ukrainian government did not respond and list questions Chernivsky participation. He had been serving a unit Ukrainian special forces, was focused on resistance activity in areas of country occupied by Russia. I'm sorry. So if he was fighting the Russia on their occupied territories in the special forces, so he also, like, as a backlog, he decided to go to the Baltics. Okay, sure. He reported to Major General Viktor Hanushak. Okay. Was well suited to help carry out a covert mission meant to obscure Ukraine responsibilities. He was served the senior positions, country's military. Okay, so we're looking a lot of like everything here is like who this guy is. And the only so far was anonymous sources. Someone spoke anonymously. Let's go forward. So far nothing there. I mean, yes, that's what like this like all of this. That's what special forces do. So they basically took like special forces. What's the purpose of special forces? The guy is part of special forces. He's doing what special forces do. With operations to kill pro-Russian separatist leaders is yes, yes, yes. Last year, a Dutch court convicted Russian. Yes, 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 yes. Held in Kiev. Wait, wait. So he's imprisoned? Chernyvsky is being held in Kiev jail on charges that he abused his power stemming from a plot to lure a Russian pilot to defect to Ukraine. Authorities allege that Chernyvsky, who was arrested in April, acted without permission and that the operation gave away the coordinates of a Ukrainian airfield, prompting a Russian rocket attack that killed soldiers and injured 17 others. Okay? So Hanushak, who is no longer serving Special Operation Force, has publicly stated the operation was approved by the armed forces and declined to comment on this article. So this is okay. So we have one name. It's a person that is not part of the special forces. So let's see why he was dismissed. So some person, so the guy that is being now charged with this is in prison in Kiev, and then the person that is supposedly was talking with Zaluzhny and was supposedly like in such a close relationship with Zaluzhny is no longer a member of the armed forces. I don't know how to write his name in. Let's see. They made it. They posted his name somewhere. They posted his name. Yeah, there was Viktor Hanushak. Let's see. Maybe we can find something about it. Viktor Hanushak. Is there any? Oh, Viktor Hanushak. Okay, so we have Wikipedia article. I'm going to translate this to English. Ukrainian military officer, deputy commander of United Forces. Ukrainian peacekeeping Kosovo, commander of the Western Operation, head of the Eastern Ministry of Defense since. Is it this guy? He doesn't look like the guy. I don't see special forces here anything. I don't have Facebook, sorry. Ганущак. Чернівський робив свою роботу. Операція була погоджена з вищим керівництвом СУ. Ага, there we go, the article. This is from Ukrainian side. I'm going to translate this. Ганущак is the deputy. So we're digging in today. We're digging into media today. Authority after the start of full-scale Ганущак headed a unit of special forces. Now the General Prosecutor Office and Security Service suspect Chernyvsky exceeded his official authority regarding the events in Airfield. Testimony, in my opinion, indicates that the case against Chernyvsky is a political order. Yes, time operations. So this is about the airfield. This is why this Chernyvsky guy got arrested. So CensorNet took this command. Were you informed about the time? Okay. Yes. This is where the airfield got struck, yeah. Yes. Do you see a guilt and crime? No, okay. He followed the call to his heart to defend the motherland. Later on, paths crossed the team. Chernyvsky served nerve. There was a person on the team. Okay, we still cannot find out why he was suspended from. we're still trying to understand why he was dismissed. Headed a unit of Special Operation Forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, which report directed to the Commander-in-Chief Viktor Zaluzhny under Hanushak commander, was a military unit in which Colonel Roman Chernivsky was assigned to the post of deputy commander. He was direct commander of Romansk-Chernivsky during the events of airfields. He responds to these questions, awareness. Yes. Top leadership. Hanushak was Colonel Chernivsky didn't exceed his official powers. It's the same story. Okay, so Hanushak is legit. He was there as a part. Chernivsky is there. Good. Let's see for the more proofs. What do they say? Yes. Chernivsky said he was not responsible for the Russian attack and is trying. Wait, this is holy shit. This is about Airfield. This is what we read about the Airfield, no? Because we just read interviews with this guy with the Hanushak, and he was talking about airfields. Are they talking about something else? Responsible for the Russian attack, trying to persuade the pilot to fly Ukraine hand over this aircraft. Yeah. So this is the Airfield part. Stream Poland. Wait. No. What? No. They are stating here that Chernivsky participation in Nord Stream, but that's not a fact. What are your sources? Report directly to the chief defense Zaluzhny. Zelensky would have known, wouldn't have known about it, according to the CIA. Jetic Sarah, Massachusetts, are the secret Ukrainian operations in Russian forces. Chernivsky had blamed Yermak. What? Teixeira? What? Chernivsky has blamed Yermak and several other Zelensky advisors for botching the plan in 2020 to ensnare Wagner fighters after they traveled to Belarus. That sting operator failed, Chernivsky said 21-1 because of a leak of Zelensky inner circle. It's not Mol and Zelensky administration. Yeah, okay. It's Ukrainian politics. It's nothing. Yeah. Where are the proofs about the thing? The same private journalists, US officials blamed with the Post and Times. Okay, this is just history. The Russian agency TASS. Who cares what TASS says? Their propaganda. Chernivsky participation. Some of those who described Chernivsky participation in Nord Stream attack defended the veteran intelligence officer as acting in Ukraine's best interest. They argued that bombing the pipeline. Who? So they're willing arguments. German government thinks Chernivsky reporters. His statement Chernivsky said, I have devoted my entire life to the defenders of Ukraine. Okay, so long story short, what is written here. Wait. Report of Kiev, Washington, the Post and Der Spiegel corroborate reporting on the road to separate stories and news organizations are published at the same time. Okay, so what is written here so far, to sum up, is that there is this guy that is supposedly special forces. They are saying that anonymous sources that know what is happening inside Ukraine, anonymous sources, said them on a complete legit reason that there was operation where this guy went and bombed the pipelines, and then it was reported to General Zaluzhny. Since then, both this guy is in prison and the guy that was supposed to be reporting to Zaluzhny are also dismissed from the army. Yet both this guy and the guy that was dismissed are both denying that it ever happened. But they do have anonymous sources and they say, trust me, bro. So, I mean, okay. You know, I cannot say anything. It's unfalsifiable. They just say, trust me, bro, I have sources. I mean, what can I say? It's like, there is no like, nothing there. It's just like, they're not stating any facts or anything. They're mostly, half of them, they're just describing what the special forces do. Then the other half describing these guys' operations and what they're being charged with. And then when actually asked any person with actual recognizable name that's responsible for something, these guys are saying we didn't do anything. I don't know. I don't know how to work with these media. Like it's it's beyond me. Any update on GLSDB deliveries in Ukraine? Yes, in December. They stated this. People because the article stated this GLSDB coming soon to Ukraine that everyone picked up. And then when you open article and you read inside the article, it says GLSDB will be arriving in a late November, but most likely in December. First GLSDBs will be arriving to Ukraine. And people was like, oh, the article says GLSDB arriving soon, and most of the media ran with like GLSDB is almost in Ukraine. It's beyond me. I cannot like this. Like I got media, especially Western media, I got so disappointed on during this conflict. It's just unbelievable. Like the level of dog shit reporting is just beyond me. The amounts of trust me bro anonymous sources is just beyond me. When like you can't. Either you report facts. I understand sometimes it's the legal system and everything, but like most of your articles are just trust me bro articles with little to no substance. If it's anonymous source, ask them to provide evidence, like I don't know, post pictures of something, documents, anything, like videotapes, audio tapes, anything. Trust me bro. Yeah, I have sources in my toilet, anonymous sources, high-ranking sources very close to General Zaluzhny, right sitting there in my toilet. All right, let's go back to the good stuff, to the questions answering, because I've been ranting here. Where was that question? How do you think Ukraine's infrastructure will hold up this winter against Russians? I think pretty good. I think pretty good. Overall, I'm confident about it. Russia has accumulated a lot of missiles, but less than they had last year. And Ukraine knows what's coming, so I think they've prepared. Plus, there are more anti-air defenses. I believe it's going to be tough. I believe there still might be certain blackouts, but it's not going to be as bad as last time. Why, Jacob? Why do you think why they don't make submersible pontoon bridges with watercolors at avoid detection? Why they don't make submersible pontoon bridges with watercolors at avoid detection? Mostly because expensive. Let's put it this way. There is very little operations in the world that requires like this level of secrecy when you're crossing a river. All of the river crossings before and weapons and equipment, they are designed for when you're crossing the river. Most likely you're controlling that river, so it's a secure crossing. There is little to no militaries, including Ukrainian, that have held any pontoon bridging equipment that would serve a specific purpose to be deployed on the river, so it's stealthy and it's sturdy enough to be like a long-term invisible thing. Most of the equipment that we're using right now is way pre-modern era. It's like from 1970s 80s technology for the pontoon building. So we have a very specific scenario here that is very hard to replicate anywhere else on the battlefield. So that's why I don't think that they're making any kind of dedicated pontoon bridges that would be submergible or secret. Average Joe, thank you so much for $2. Appreciate it. If Washington Post wants, I can be an anonymous source. Yes, I'm pretty sure with that track record, anyone can be. Bev Grooves, thank you so much for £20. I'm in love with Gen Z. That sounds wrong. Yes, that does sound wrong. All right. Any updates on, just talked about GLSDB. Ed the Brown, can martyrs cross the Dnipro water? I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not a martyrs expert. People in chat will answer that. There are plenty of people that are watching me that are knowing a lot more about military equipment than I am. We have a Discord military equipment channel. Join Discord. Ask in the military equipment channel. Very good question. Ambassador, would you agree that the real main mastermind of the current conflict in the Middle East sits in Moscow? Nah, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. It's beyond my how do you say, my bullshit or like a conspiracy meter like just goes beyond the scale it's supposed to when we start talking that Putin is the real mastermind that instigated conflict between Palestinians and Israelites. Nah, no, sorry. Ali, F-16 training in Tucson, Arizona. Yes, I know there is a F-16 training, but there was like the person was saying that F-16 was down or something. Hein A, what are the chances of Ukraine making significant gains before the end of the year? Low. I would say low. Ukraine has a possibility in Kherson area to develop that offensive. They have a possibility to advance and maybe even cut the land bridge between Crimea and so on. But that possibility is hinged on, not hinged, but like it depends on Russians continue with their political desires. Russia still has significant forces engaged in the east right now, and they're engaging also in the northern part and other places in Ukraine. These forces can be moved to Kherson area to the south if Russia agrees to be in strategic defense right now. And at that moment, I feel that it's going to be tough for Ukraine to just break through them head on. So right now, what I feel is happening in Kherson area is just Ukraine exploiting the Russian desire to attack in the east. And they're exposing their rear around Kherson. And Ukraine is just exploiting that. But if Russia will decide to essentially close that direction and give like way from attacking, then I don't think there's a lot of possibilities for Ukraine. However, it might be too late, but right now it is not too late. Ukraine still hasn't committed. Raktak, thanks so much for 5 gifted subs. I appreciate it. What is the status of 15,000 hobos in Transnistria? Do they still have any access to money and supplies from Mother Russia? Technically, they're being fed from Moldova, so yeah. The problem is that Moldova doesn't have military to deal with them. That would be so much better if they would be dealt with by Moldova, but Moldova doesn't want to do it, unfortunately. Karen H., there is a second story coming out about him that he's been arrested and charged with revealing the location of Ukrainian airfield without permission, leading to the strike on it. Yeah. We just looked at it. Combi Bastard, do you think Western countries should build more factories to produce drones? Yes. Russia seems to build a lot themselves. Yes, some. Now that they have finally realized the difference drones make. Yes. Per Hugland, is the month of January the best month for Russia to go on the winter offensive, considering the weather in Ukraine? To be honest, I don't think Russia really bothers with weather. Like, what? Like, Russia really just kind of like, okay, it's time to go, let's go. And it's like, dude, stupid idea. And I think, like, even if idea is stupid, it never stopped Russia. So the problem of weather is like whenever we're assessing weather, we're thinking about like competent command. But Russia is driven by political will. So if Putin says, okay, I just need to get like a W, I need to get a victory, some kind of victory before my election, just attack. And it's like, well, let's attack. So it's hard to say. Phil DiCarlo, hey brother, I really think Ukraine needs helicopters like Black Hawks and Hueys from the US and NATO, especially to bring troops behind enemy lines or to and from the battlefield. What do you think? Yes, more shit is better than less shit. So yes, more helicopters. GB Vatnik is writing about this, so don't care. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Jan Rutsky, I spoke to my brother about supporting Ukraine and he was convinced that the Ukraine is corrupt and that over 50% of aid is stolen. I don't believe this. Russian propaganda? Question mark, question mark. What sources can I point to him? Good that you asked. Where is my on my community tab there was recently I'm actually gonna show it on the stream if I can find on this new YouTube how to go to my channel. Yes. So when you go on the channel, just so you know where to find it for the future, when you go on the video channel tab, there is a tab that's called Community. When you click on the Community tab, I sometimes make posts. Most of them are shit, but sometimes there are good ones. For example, there is this crying Vatnik, which is supposedly your brother, as he believes that Ukraine is corrupt and for that they don't deserve any support and they should be killed. And Hudson Institute made this amazing, okay, no, this is report, rather you can say. So this is a paper of 7 pages where Hudson Institute in excruciating details with a lot of supported evidence and links explains the points the propaganda often makes about Ukraine. Use that, throw it in the face of your brother, but what experience has showed me that if someone is saying, oh, I don't want to support Ukraine because X, most likely than not, they're just looking for excuses. They are not really factually dependent on it. So as much as it hurts to accept, but your brother is Vatnik. So what we need to see is that people will look for excuses and they will regurgitate any kind of talking points just as an excuse to fundamentally explain that, hey, I'm actually not a bad person for being for Russia. I'm actually good because X. But you can give this paper, a piece of paper, print it out. I don't know, put it, throw it in his face, or you can print it out in rolls and then you could put it as a toilet paper. So then at some point he will need to look at it. You can also just post it as all over his room. You choose. Like there are plenty of different options how to deal with Vatniks and how to have fun with it. How can we counter the Lancet drones in the future? Anything in the pipeline? Yes, plenty, Christoph. Plenty of things. New electronic warfare systems, the net shooters, the cope cages are really, really good against Lancet. Active defense units, more close air, close anti-air protection, such as Gepards, stuff like that. There are plenty of things that can counter Lancets, and there are plenty of developments. We need to understand that for warfare, a problem on a battlefield is a solvable thing. That's why problems don't really don't win wars, creating problems for your enemy. Because problems are getting solved, the only thing that creating a new problem for your enemy creates is buys you more time. So it's time until the enemy solves that problem. What really wins the war is dilemmas. Dilemmas is the ultimate thing that needs to be delivered on the war. So when we're saying, oh, there are effective drones that Russia has that are causing problems for Ukrainians, that's a problem. So problem will be solved in time, and there's already things in a pipeline. Given how much Russia has lost just trying to encircle Avdiivka, if they do capture it, do you think Russia will have the strength to capitalize on the capture of the town? No, not right away. No, I don't believe so. No, I believe, like, because right now they're so far away from even remotely encircling Avdiivka, or even if they circle, like trying to capture it, they're way away from that. Way away from that. They need a lot more forces. Their rate of expenditure is way above what they did for Bakhmut. Ukraine has way a lot more firepower, so it's gonna cost Russia a lot more than it did to take Bakhmut, to try to take Avdiivka. No, they will not have the possibility to capitalize on that. No, absolutely not. Ragtag, any news if and when EU will invest the frozen Russian assets to Ukraine? As far as I understand, never. What was agreed upon with the Russian assets is that there are no legislation in the EU that would allow to transfer those Russian assets. However, those Russian assets were frozen to be moved to Russians. But European Union and countries in the European Union still made money off of those assets. So they're still generating money. Capital is making more capital. That's just how capitalism works. So these assets, what was now discussed in European Union, is that the profits that these assets are generating can be diverted to Ukraine, because technically it's just profits off of assets. It's not really assets that are belonging to Russia. Sitting and thinking, do you have connections in Latvia still? Very few. If so, do they feel about Russian aggression? I mean, do they fear for Russian aggression to Latvia? Yes. If they support Russian aggression, if they support Latvia, yes, there are plenty of Vatniks in Latvia. But is it like a lot of people? No. Is it a significant percentage? Yes. Jan Rudzicki, thank you for that link and advice, Georgie. You continue to inspire me to support Ukraine. Thanks, Jan. Appreciate it. Thanks for £10. David, if I haven't said, thanks so much for £5. Appreciate it. What are the biggest obstacles for Ukraine not taking small villages on the front? The enemy forces. When the guy on the other side of the field is shooting at you, it's problematic to take that field. Same goes for villages. If there are guys that are shooting at you when you try to approach the village, you have troubles taking that village. Okay. Or does Ukraine prioritize strategically important towns? Do you think Butler would be stupid enough to attack NATO country's ship? Not directly. Not like look, it's me, I did it. Like, not in that way. But can he attack and say it was an accident? Yeah. But not military. Maybe a civilian one. I don't think military one. No. Not with people, at least, unless. Like, I don't think, if it's like a unmanned ship, yes. Military, no. ENTP, my older brother thinks there are no nice Ukrainians and they're all Nazis. How to counter this? Get rid of your brother. Fuck Putin. And I don't say kill, okay? Like, so there's no misunderstanding. Your brother is Vatnik. There's nothing that, like, if he thinks Ukrainians are Nazis, there is nothing redeemable about it. He's gone. He's over. That person is lost. You can still follow him, like, make fun of him. There we go. Use the NATO playbook. Make fun of his arguments. I don't know, throw it in his face. Fuck Putin. Gee, Elon opened his pie hole recently. Yeah, who gives a shit? Saying that Ukraine, I mean, like, there are plenty of people that gives a shit, but mostly are the same people that think that Ukrainians are Nazis. So, like, do I need to care? Recently saying that Ukraine will be on the wrong side of history for allowing its youngs to die in trenches. How can be one such a dick? Not a question, just pisses me off. Yep. Yep. I mean, the world is full of assholes, right? Everyone got one. But some assholes are just bigger. And that's a big asshole. Listen, the world is unjust, right? Let's not kid ourselves. The world is a pretty shitty place when you look at all this. We're trying to make the best of it. When I say we need to protect democracy and the rule of law and the freedom that we have, is because the freedoms and the rule of law and democracy are not given. This is not a natural state of things. If you look around the world, you will see that the world is a pretty fucking shitty place. Real garbage dump. Fucking assholes living everywhere, talking nonsense. People spouting nonsense in some kind of cults, robbing people for money, making like sex slavery, human traffickers. There's a lot of shit without even going into the climate problems and everything else. The fact that we're having this island of some reasonable island of normality, something that we can consider normality, is more of a anomaly. So when you start looking at it as an anomaly and looking at everything that else that exists is just, well, that's the garbage dump that we're living in, then you first and foremost start realizing that what they're saying is pretty much the unfortunate reality that we're living in, that we're coming back to, that we need to actively resist that reality to be important. That's why supporting Ukraine is so crucial. That's why talking about Ukraine is so crucial. And Ukraine is just a big one piece of this puzzle. But the thing is, there's still, like, we're fighting like overwhelming odds here. Overwhelming odds. Because majority of what the world has to offer is garbage. And there is no good answer to it. The only thing that does exist, that is good, is that there are certain small number of people in this world. A lot of them are on this channel. A lot of them others channels that are supporting Ukraine, that are realizing that we cannot, like, if we just give up, we give up the fight, we give up resisting, we give up trying to fight for democracy, for something better, then we're going to end up like a dog shit. The Russia, for example, is. Russian society is the greatest example of a society that just gave up. Russian society is where people had a chance to fight for democracy, but democracy was hard. The market, capitalism, stuff like that, economy, you needed to take responsibility. You needed to be an active actor. Instead, Putin came, and Putin said, don't worry, I'll solve it. And Russian society said, oh, well, now we have a boss, he's going to solve it. And then gave up. They gave up watching everything that's happening around them. They gave up the power that they had. They gave up all of the decision making and said, we're just going to support you, but you solve our problems. And we see that in 20 years, instead of building a prosperous Russia that has significant build-up on their rich cultural background that a lot of people are stating around, we see that that culture has nothing to do with a modern Russian state. That all of the Russian culture that they had some centuries ago right now is just weaponized and is used either as shield or as a weapon of attack to shut up people that are criticizing Russia. We're seeing Putin, that's been saying, oh, he's going to solve our problems, instead of building a solid state where people have the rights, he built a lawless empire. Instead of being prosperous, country that trades with the world, he built another North Korea that is now only preoccupied on building weapons and means of destruction. That's what happens when good people give up. Russia is a perfect example of it. So is there any good thing that I can say that if we don't give up, then things are going to get better? We can think so. That's definitely a comforting thought. But the reality is, if we just give up, then we're going to end up in a shit state like Russia. Can you give an example of dilemma? Yeah, anti-air systems. So Russia wants to defend Crimea, but also Ukraine is, for example, will start a massive drone campaign striking their weapons producing factories. What do you defend? Do you defend the weapons producing factories with your anti-air systems, or you spread anti-air systems thin, opening up potential for Ukrainian operations in Crimea? What is the condition of the Kherson railway bridge over Dnipro River? Is it only strategic value? Strategic value, yes, but not at this moment. Not at this moment. It needs some repairs. The bridge is down, but as far as I understood, the major parts there, at least certain things, are built, and it can be rebuilt relatively fast if there is a possibility. And when I say relatively fast, maybe, half a year or something, maybe faster. There are drive for it. And once the bridge is there, it's going to be great support for the Ukrainian armed forces. All right. Why my Q&A? Why there is no more questions on Q&A? Did I answer all of your questions, guys? Or you were just like so stunned by my glorious speech that, oh my God, like I'm such a bad speaker though. Shit. Yeah. All right. Then I answered all of the QA. If you wanna write me a question so I can read, just write not at, like, why you don't need to write at. Just write in Ukraine Matters in chat with a space in between it, and then it gets highlighted for me, and then I can read it. Why hit Askol instead of Kerch Bridge, Slava? Right now, Kerch Bridge is not as valid target, not as viable target, and I believe the damages, the assessment, how much damage would it do, was assessed that it would be less. Askol would be a big problem for Ukrainians, and I'm really happy that it was taken out. The sex tunnels, yes, I read about sex tunnels. Fuck me. Like, I mean, that's a great example of a brain rot that we're in. The just, like, I don't know, it's like the fucking sex tunnels. What does this even mean? What is sex tunnel? Like, what does this even mean? It's so bad, yeah. IA, thoughts on Russians recalling equipment from allies? 150 helicopters turbines returned by Egypt. Yeah. As expected. Russia is trying to get anything that can get their hands on. It's 150 helicopter engines. Well, it's 150 helicopter engines that will become helicopters at some point. Because you won't believe it. One of the biggest suppliers, if not the biggest supplier of helicopter engines to Russia was Ukraine. Fucking wild. Artists, where those USA politicians like Vivek Ramaswamy come from? How big a probe this is so for Ukraine? It seems like more and more politics in US are completely turning away from Ukraine. You should not say too much about Ukraine in the American politics. Americans are living on their own wave. We need to understand that Ukraine in American politics is like, yay. That's like, yay. And that's why I'm saying it's really good that Ukraine goes away from the news cycle, specifically for US elections, which is great, and I'm really happy. Vivek Vivek Ramaswamy is a Trump successor. He looked at what Trump did, he liked it, but he's a sleazy salesman. Jesus, wow, words are just coming out of my mouth today, aren't they? He's a sleazy salesman guy. The problem is that he's like very much understood what Trump did and how to appeal to his base. So he's just doing the same, except he's doing it like, how to say, very, very secretly. So sneakily, he knows what he's doing. So he's just appealing to that. To be honest, the fact that there is Vivek is just showing that there are really batshit crazy people living everywhere. US is not excluded. But I would not look at Vivek and say, oh, this is how US is going to treat Ukraine. No. Ukraine is a very small question on the American general political stage. Ukraine matters. For Derek, question. There is a news article about Israel sending Iron Dome air defense system for 1.2 billion to a named European country. How have you heard anything about this? No. Will Settle, aren't engineering supplies and training more critical than airframes? Both. Both are critical. Like, what are you talking about? That's a weird dichotomy. It's like, would you want to, like, isn't like shitting better than pissing? Like, shouldn't we just focus on shitting instead of pissing? It's like, well, it depends on how you look at things. So it's a weird position. It's like isn't it breathing better than eating? It's like, yes. Like, because like, sorry, I'm my dirty minded, so I'm instantly going towards like assholes and other things. That's why I don't know like why good Christians continue watching me. Jesus. Like I'm an awful person. But probably that's why people still shit. Oh my god, I'm losing it today. Sorry guys. Long week. Yes, anyway. Yes. Kerch would be a big moral boost. Yeah, but Ukraine is not fighting this war for moral value. I mean, for moral drivers. They don't want to just fight Russians to feel good, right? They want to do something that is efficient. Shouldn't we consider a negotiation with Putin as Munich-Hitler agreement is the same consequence? I don't understand the question, but no negotiation until Putin dead. I'm okay negotiating with dead Putin. And Confia, what happened to the Ram artillery shells we used to hear about? Didn't they run out? Sounds like they could be helpful to blanket routes leading to Avdiivka. Ram, was it remote mining shells, if I'm not wrong? I don't want to Google right now, but if those were remote mining shells, they're used constantly, non-stop, every day. It's just the scale of this war is enormous. When we are reporting from Avdiivka, for example, we are neglecting the hundreds of battles that are happening all across the front line. Ukrainian war is in an extremely hot stage. It's an intense conflict. So in that sense, comparison to the First World War is in order, where the churn and activity was so huge, but not in a sense of that some weapons are not being used because they're not reported on. Raktak, I think that R got where they are because Putin ended the post-Soviet mobs by taking their job over the state level and promises that they'll bring back our love. Maybe? GB, engines from helis was going to Russia from Ukraine at the start of the war. Yes, it's a big scandal with that the guy that was hero of Ukraine, by the way, hero of Ukraine. Like, we're talking about like different sabotages and whatever, like, and so on. Maybe there was like a military officer that was like a high-ranking military officer that did this sabotage and whatnot. Yeah, how about that? A hero of Ukraine running the Ukrainian helicopter factory, like a director of the Ukrainian main helicopter factory that is producing engines for Ukrainian helicopter fleet, major strategic enterprise, at the start of the war negotiated with Russia, selling them engines to Russians from Ukrainian factory post-invasion. So whenever someone says, like, my point being, the Western media is like, whenever someone says that they know something, the sources or something, there are reasons for certain people to say certain shit. And if they say they want to be anonymous, fuck them. Borrell said US support for Ukraine will most likely decrease, and EU should have the political will and necessary means to continue to send aid regardless. Do you agree with him, re-EU? Well, yes, mostly because I'm European, and I think, like, with all respect to US, I am a pan-European guy. I like EU. I like my EU. I think EU is a great initiative, and it's an amazing, unprecedented cooperation of the world history. What I think is, I am against a peaceful EU that cannot defend itself. I think EU should be strong. We should respect and support our values. We should continue focusing on the freedoms within our European unions. But I think we need to start getting big guns, big fucking guns, to make sure that Putin never even thinks about looking the wrong way to the European countries. That's what I think about the EU. I love the EU, and I think we need to do more to protect ourselves and our closest neighbors and potential members for the EU, because we are big, we are strong, we are rich and powerful, and we have all of the means necessary to make sure that we put all of these bullies like Putin or Xi Jinping in their places if we get our shit together. And GC just writes Ukraine matters, so it just gets highlighted. No questions there, just space. Dave, I read the Russian soldiers are very afraid of becoming prisoners of war. Any way to educate them that it is safe to give up to be treated well? Ukraine is working on it, but it's really hard. You need to understand that in Russia it's like propaganda nonstop every day. There is something that they call the minute of patriotism, which is in reality like a minute of hatred, where they're like every morning they're reciting like how they need to destroy Ukraine and Russia. This is very common, not in the field, not in like in the field, but when they are like in training during their military career startup. So they have there's like, so watching news together, watching like the reports from the general staff together is like super common for the Russian military. They're like ordered like to come in this room and listen to this guy, basically. It's very common. Tal Tracing, do you think the West has woken up to misinformation, is taking steps to control it or not? No. Unfortunately not. Not enough. Lou, battles are won by soldiers, war is won by logistics. Kirch. Yes. I know what you're saying, Lou. I know what you're saying. But we don't have the full information. We don't have the assessment. We have our feel-good moments. Like, right? We want to feel good. We want to see the bridge on fire and stuff and sing a song and whatnot. But people that are doing it, they have the assessment. They have the analysis done. They know what they're doing. You need to trust in the armed forces of Ukraine. You need to stop thinking that you're smarter than the people in the general staff. And I know that sometimes we're looking at it as like, wow, we just, you know, they just should have struck this bridge. Why they don't do it? There are reasons for that. Why don't they take the settlements? Trust in the armed forces of Ukraine. If anything you want to take from General Zaluzhny's article, anything that you want to take, like if you don't want to read or listen to 35 minutes of me explaining about the article, one thing only, is that Ukrainian general staff, very realistically looks at the situation. They are very open to discuss actual problems that they have, and they're working on those problems. So they have very firm grasp on the analysis on the situation, both on the front line and anywhere else. They know what they're doing. If anything that article says is that they know what they're doing. They are competent. So trust in the competent people. Don't think you're smarter. It's a huge mistake. I'm not smarter. I'm dumb as fuck. But I listen to smart people. Some people then say, oh, George, you're such a bright analyst. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm just a guy on YouTube. I'm just telling things. Right now, what I'm doing can be done by a lot of good people. A lot of good people. At the start of the war, what I was doing was relevant because I read Russian, Ukrainian. And then we didn't have all of these abilities to... Now we have like a full-blown open source lists of like which Telegram channels you should follow, which news sources. People in our own Discord, we have Ukraine's battle updates channel. Super good information. Very often more accurate information than if I get sometimes. I learn sometimes from our Discord update channel. We are now in a stage of the war where we refined the access to information. We have a lot of intelligence now. It's a shit intelligence because we have very little good information. But a lot of information is being processed very, very well. So my job is just look nice. I don't know. Though I'm not looking very nice, though. But people like my shirt. There we go. Wear amazing shorts. I have full confidence in Ukraine. My doubts lie with the Western allies. Yes, Western allies is always a concern. Now, we will have less and less power. Like I think the biggest kind of losers from Ukraine phasing out of the public sphere are actually you guys, and myself as well. Because now, if we start writing our local representatives, which we should do, but generally speaking, they can kind of look at it and says, oh, it's not actually that big of an issue. You know, it's maybe individuals. Whereas before, there was this background noise, you know, that's like, oh, Ukraine, 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 big, big, big topic. And then also you get like a couple of letters as a public representative. It's like, oh, maybe it's a tough issue. I should focus on this. We're going to lose a lot of powers ourselves to influence our politicians. A lot of problems other than Ukraine will come up. So we need to acknowledge where we are. We talked about where Ukraine is in their battle against Russia. I think it's also healthy for us to acknowledge where we are, the supporters of Ukraine. We are in a state where Ukraine is not hot shit anymore. It's not the top boy of the class. It's not the superstar anymore. It's a 30-year-old man with a career job, a car. He's driving to work every day. On the weekends, sometimes he spends it with his friends, sometimes with his wife. We're mature. And with that maturity, on one side, we have more abilities, capabilities. We have refined ability to buy weapons, supply drones to Ukraine, get trucks, support. But on the other hand, we don't have the opportunities that we had in our youth anymore. But we should also not dismiss our possibilities. So if you have a chance to write to your local representative, write it still. Have you heard anything from those Russian rebels who raided Russian territory at the northern Ukrainian border this year? It seems to make sense to keep Russians by... Yeah. They have a Telegram channel. I don't know if I have it nearby, but they have a Telegram channel. I don't follow them because they're Nazis, so literal Nazis, like they're really bad. But they are still going into the Russian. They just recently posted a video where they're raiding Russia. All right. IA, especially good since US support is questioned. Germany has doubled support. How do you feel about the argument Europe, NATO members should protect Europe rather than USA majority? Oh, I'm all for it. Like, I'm all for it. The problem was always the Germany that was not on board. If Germany will switch to that, then maybe yes. But until Germany switches, it's going to be tough to convince. Captain Copenhagen, thank you so much for 17 kronas. I'm gonna buy a Rolchetten for that, for myself. OCT, thank you so much for 10 gifted members. Appreciate it. Brent Nansen, UA strategy is to minimize losses. Do you think if they pushed a major aggressive attack, disregarding this, they could break the Russians' line? No. You just need to look at Avdiivka. Listen what Zaluzhny said, and look at what happened at Avdiivka. Hundreds of armored vehicles lost in like a day. It's a massacre. Read the Zaluzhny article. He explains very well why just having a lot of stuff doesn't really work anymore. Maximus M. Georgie, would it be an idea to pick up guerrilla warfare in occupied territories, so more EODs next to roads, etc.? There's resistance is working on the occupied territories. Infiltration groups are working on the occupied territories. We just don't hear about it a lot. But this is happening constantly, daily. Daily. There are events, there are ambushes, there are EODs and so on. This is happening non-stop. We just, again, because of the scale of the war, because we cannot just focus on everything. If we focus on every single battle, every single event, we would go nuts. Like, listen, like on my channel when I'm reporting, and I'm still reporting, there's a lot of events, and I'm almost not reporting on missile strikes. But there are like tens of missiles and drones that are flying both ways daily. It's a super intense war, super intense. It's just we don't hear about things, but they're happening daily. So don't worry. IA, our sources, I guess R is like Russian. I guess I'm Russian. So Russian sources complain of drones in south, and now aircraft and heli attacks. Seems Russians' electronic warfare is struggling. Thoughts on Russians' ability to regen electronic warfare and potential effect on F-16s given this sign? Okay, complex question. Let's break it apart. Is Russian air defense, is Russian electronic warfare struggling? Yes, because as I explained, any problem on the war can be solved. Russia having potent electronic warfare systems is now being fought against. I don't think it's yet to scale, but certain directions we can see Russia struggling with this. Thoughts on Russian abilities to regen electronic warfare, electronic war capabilities. So Russia is also working on additional electronic warfare. Zaluzhny himself, he explained that a lot of Russian electronic warfare, especially local trench level, tactical level warfare, is providing a huge problem for Ukraine, and Ukrainians are trying to fight it against. So it's safe to assume that once Ukraine finds a way to beat Russian electronic warfare, Russians will start looking for opportunities on how to reassess dominance. They still have the research capabilities for that. Potential effect on F-16s given the sign. I think it's still early to talk about F-16s because we are a little bit away from F-16s. And main question is, what are the armaments that will come with F-16s? So which roles, which niches, which capabilities they will start providing for Ukraine. But Russia will try to adapt to make sure that these capabilities are not delivering full value to Ukraine long term. In Denmark, we support Ukraine forever. Ukraine, yes. Oh my God, Captain Copenhagen. Like, I sometimes cry with joy. I don't cry a lot, mostly because I don't have the time. But I am sometimes crying in joy when I read Danish news, just because how much dedication and support there are from Denmark to Ukraine. I couldn't be more happy. Every time, like very often, like I get demotivated by some news from like US or like Slovakia or somewhere. And then I open Danish news and I was like, man, I'm so happy that Denmark gets it. Really, really happy. So I'm really, really happy about Denmark, yes. And Hill, thanks for the stream. Absolutely, no worries, man. Anytime. We'll settle. Seems like Germany might be miffed over pipeline forcing them to stop buying Russian oil gas. I mean, maybe. I don't know. But they doubled support for Ukraine, did they not? So if they once they until they support Ukraine is all fine. Uh, Frakis Maximus, nice name by the way. Where can we find and listen to of the Telegram channels to follow? I don't want to spread Russian propaganda channels. I don't want to be that guy. I'm sorry. But we have a Discord, and there are people that are sharing information, including from the Russian sources, including from the Russian Telegram channels. They are filtered and good information, and they're filtering information that is pure propaganda. So I would recommend joining Discord, our Ukraine Battle Updates channel. That I'm self-promoting this. But I'm not actually running this. It's all Papi and Newman, and I believe someone else as well. Matt, I believe. If I forgot someone, sorry. But yeah, Papi for sure. Jeff, USA is behind Ukraine more than people think. They will straighten the support for Ukraine by 9/25. Thanks. Really hope for it. I abbreviate for 200 character count. Sorry, I mean Russia can. Okay. Russia can build drones and missiles clearly, but Western tech for modern electronic warfare is sanctioned. Maybe more difficult to regen electronic warfare than LRM and drones. Yes, but how do I say? A lot of this warfare is very low, like not like, because like it's not low tech. Like the drones are not low tech, right? I cannot call drones low tech, but it's simple and cheap enough, right? So a lot of driver of this current conflict is scale. Like probably scale is the biggest word when we're talking about military equipment in this war scenario that we're having. So for scalability, a solution needs to be cheap and simple to make. And cheap and simple solutions usually have plenty of openings for a counter to counter them, to counter operate on them. So in that sense, a lot of times what we see is fast and dirty and cheap, hopefully, adopted technologies, both on Ukrainian and Russian side. So in that sense, I feel that we will see most of the things happening on the front line as a constant change and adoption to newly delivered capabilities, and those capabilities, they become significant when they come at scale. And current conflict, it seems that scale also means cheap and dirty. I hope you understand what I mean. Kaimo, is there a country in the world that could convince Russia to end the war? China. China could convince, but why would they do it? Right now, they don't see any reason to do it. They are benefiting a lot from this conflict so far, so why would they do it? Just me, hello. Ever watch such news on YouTube? He goes a good job on Ukraine analyst. I don't know who you're talking about. US news is very depressing. No, the average American hasn't forgotten. Slava Ukraini. Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'm happy that even in the US, there's still plenty of support. I mean, a lot of support, to be honest. Like, for example, for some reason, a lot of people are shitting on Republican Party, which I don't understand. I mean, like, I'm a strong centrist, right? So for me, Republican and the Democrat are like if they're too much to the edges, that's like dumb fucks. So all of these crazy progressive leftists for me are as toxic as MAGA Republicans, at least in my perspective. Again, It's my opinion. You're free to disagree. You're free to express your negativity in the comments. But I don't monitor my moderator work, so oops. In any case, just not don't insult anyone. Let's put it this way. But in my perspective, the centrist wing, both within Republican and Democrat Party, is quite strong. So I feel that it also represents maybe significant part of the US society, that there are still a lot of people that are generally centrist, but because there's this big red against blue scenario, then we get in a situation where centrists, where one is a little bit towards left and the other is a little bit towards right, they are basically almost forced by some radical statements, radical powers within these red or blue parties, to force to fight each other, despite them, by being centrist, maybe even agreeing on majority, if not all of the things. Again, feel free to disagree. This is just my opinion. David Elston, is there a risk of European NATO member states are currently overly complacent in the event that US politics go Putin way next year? No. Not in the near future. No. This is the best shown by the Polish elections. I feel the Polish elections was the best represents the fact that some party that, for example, supports Putin can win majority, which is not given for a lot of parties in a lot of powers in Europe. It doesn't change the fact that it's still gonna give a full-blown control of the government and the state. There is a possibility for us drifting that way. Fair enough. But we need to understand that we've been sitting on a lot of Western Europe has been sitting on Putin's dick for like decades. And we are only now just getting off of it. And some people just find it very uncomfortable to don't have a dick inside of them. Sorry, the analogy. I'm continuing being completely cultural here. It's like a high level conversation we're having here. Real classy. JC the Music Man, don't be discouraged. Be happy when you see this info. It means you're scared and spam the copium. Yeah, for sure. I'm always laughing from copium. It's very nice. How do you think what might change the pace of the war, but realistically? Huh? Alex, how do you think what might change the pace of the war, but realistically? A lot of F-16s. That's like the short answer. I can go in a long one, but let's go with the short one. And we're back to sex tunnels. Yes, for sure. How was Ukraine able to target an airbase in Taganrog, a Russian city, if Ukraine couldn't use Western missiles? Ukraine is producing their own missiles. Ukraine is a big weapons producer. Before Ukraine squandered all of their capabilities during the post-Soviet times due to corruption, they were one, if not the major weapons producer inside of the old Soviet unions. A lot of stuff, maybe not weapons, but a lot of, for example, space industry, missiles and everything, that's Ukraine. Ukraine is a huge, like anything that to do anything with propellant pushed forward, it was Ukrainian. A lot of it. Like Ukraine is a huge industrial hub for the Soviet Unions. And the fact that they squandered it all is a little bit sad, to be honest. Supporting from Malaysia, revenge from MH17. Thanks, Julia. I appreciate it. Like MH17, like that was I think one of the saddest moments in my 2000, like the early, when I followed the early invasion by Russians into Ukraine. It's because it was so obvious who did it, you know, and all of that BS discussion. I mean, like, a lot of Europeans died. And then we still listening to Merkel and still listening to everyone else's Minsk agreements, and it felt so unfair back then. Like, I just couldn't understand how are we spitting in the face of our own killed fellow Europeans. As I said, like, for me, a European is that's me. I'm a pan-European guy, so. CC Lewis, Pay Canada. Julia Davis at Russian Media Monitor does a great job of covering some of the most laughable Russian propaganda. Yes, I can only recommend Julia. Alberto, how was Ukraine able to target an airbase? Oh, I already talked about this. No worries, liberals have just won the elections. Perfect. The liberals right now can mean a lot of things. Some people say liberals are conservative part liberals. Then there's like other liberals where like they're left-wing liberals. So it's I don't really understand specifically what liberals mean anymore, to be honest. So right now it's red versus blue in US. I think it's the best description. It's like Team Fortress back then. I'm not sure if people that are watching me are also familiar with Team Fortress, but it's literally Team Fortress in US. Is Winter Siege of Tokman out of the question? Yes. IA, I think China is US concern now, and why interest in Ukraine is downplaying. Europe has to be self-sufficient because US will get occupied in Pacific and withdraw in Europe. No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I think China is a existential problem, but that's more of a longer term problem. It's a problem, it's a question to our all democracies, and this is what I'm always saying you, that we should be very, very aware when we are engaging in any kind of trade relationships and to make the non-democratic powers rich. I believe we should first and foremost make rich ourselves, super rich preferably. China is a longer term problem. Right now, they are not an issue, mostly because their economy is fucked and they are struggling with trying to survive. And with what we've heard, with how they reached out to US officials, they are looking for compromises. Chinese don't want to get into the confrontation. So a lot of that, we will go to war with China, is mostly BS for now. So I think you are over exaggerating where we're gonna end up with China. I don't think Chinese economy is there to support their invasion of Taiwan. Libergen, actually the side switched in US. Originally in the early days the Republicans were the left wing. Yeah, it's the same in Denmark, by the way. Like, no shit, Danish politics. So we have it's the funniest shit, sorry. So we have the party that are called the left, and the party is actually center right. Think about that. And they're called the left because of their affiliation, because of their and so on. So, and they are like a center right party. Danish politics. Welcome. Hopium is bad. Great again in South, but Hopium is bad too. Great gains in South, but when Russia leaves Avdiivka, you will struggle. Russia made Avdiivka Bakhmut too, and now can't rotate to South until they capture it. I hope they dig in. I mean, it's a statement. That's like your opinion, man. So good. Well, no more questions, as I see. So how was it, guys? Was it okay? Did we have a good chat? I hope we had a good chat. MAGA is a cult, yes. Can the EU trade Ukraine for Hungary? Oh, I wish. Like, my problem with the EU so far, like, I'm gonna finish on this. My problem with the EU so far is that we have a great policy for which countries we're welcoming in EU. We have a great policy on saying, hey, the country that we welcome should be democratic, should respect rule of law, everything. My problem is that we have no backstop for backsliding. So as soon as the country becomes undemocratic, as soon as country stop respecting the rule of law, as soon as country stops being like actual democracy, we don't have any mechanism that can deal with this. And I really believe that we should have. I really believe so. I believe we should have a mechanism that prevents us of keeping a country within the European Union if that country is not supporting the fundamental values of the EU. Can you and Starsky play board games on live stream? Yes, but I will put a pin in it, David. Let's just say there are things that are happening to make it happen. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this, guys. Video as always tomorrow. I will try again, put as much videos and as much information as I can, but I'm still working. Please continue supporting Ukraine. Thank you so much for support to this channel. Join the Discord, support the moderating team, support Ukraine. Slava Ukraini. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.